Hey everyone, welcome back to Podcast Demastered. I'm Chelsea and I'm here with Wade as always, and today we're going to be talking about food and video games. So just a warning, maybe you should grab a snack right now because you're probably going to get hungry. So we're going to talk a little bit about cooking, food, and video games, and then dive into some of the recipes we did make and how they actually turned out.
Oh yes. What an adventure we've had in our video game cooking.
Yes. I'm a little exhausted.
Yes. The feelings are mutual on that one, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pre-Thanksgiving over here almost.
Yes, exactly. So, video games and cooking. Some people might think that's a very interesting combination because there's either specific games that are just all about cooking. Some of those games that come to mind are kind of like Cooking Mama or something like that, where it's your task to cook certain things.
Oh, yes. Cooking simulator.
Yes.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's others where it's either incorporated as a mini game or...
just a simple mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just very simple stuff, yeah.
I mean, have you played a lot of cooking games? Have you played any specific cooking games before?
I want to say the only specific cooking game that I've played before is Cooking Mama.
Mm-hmm.
Is a recent one too. I think I had it on the Switch for some period of time because I expected it to be more of an actual cooking simulator, like cutesy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was going to be more of like an actual cooking simulator, and at least the Switch one was more like here's your motion controls, here's what you do. And then for each recipe, you do like 3 things, and then you get like a 1 out of 3 star rating on it. And then you move on to the next thing. And I could appreciate that, but that's not what I thought I was doing. Maybe next time I'll just go for Cooking Simulator.
There you go.
And just jump headfirst into it.
Yeah.
Have you played any of those games before?
I think the only one that kind of comes close to that is something kind of like Diner Dash, where, you know, you're trying to like please a bunch of customers and stuff, and you try to make a particular order, but it's,
I like those games, though. Those are fun.
Yes.
Those are fun games. Have you ever played Overcooked?
No, I have not. I've considered playing it, but I just haven't gotten to it.
It's like you and Amy would have a great time playing it, I think. It's very simple. Like, you move, and then it's just like a 1 or 2 button situation. Like, there's not a lot to do. It's more of like a party, crazy, work together kind of game. Because you're running a kitchen. Somebody orders something, and then you work together to complete it in a timely fashion. You send it out, and then while other people are ordering more food, it just kind of ups the ante every time. You get like dishes back that have to be done as well, because they have to go back into the rotation of preparing the food. So it's pretty crazy, but it is pretty fun.
Yeah, that sounds pretty neat. That just, I don't know, kind of reminded me of a slightly not fun party game, kind of more of, but it is kind of a cooking style, but I guess it's more of the like management style of a game. I remember in like elementary school, but it was a big deal because we had one computer in our classroom, and during your like free time or whatever, you could play like one of 2 games. It was either Oregon Trail or this hot dog stand game. You had to like manage a hot dog stand. You had to like buy enough ingredients and stuff and make sure you kept up with the supply and demand.
Oh wow, okay.
And it had a little catchy song, but it just I guess that's another not really cooking game I've played, but that's something.
It's just one of those games where, like, you know, it has food and you're doing stuff with the food.
Exactly.
So there's lots of those games.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of those kinds of games.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, have you played any other games that just used cooking as like a slight mechanic, maybe as a means of creating buffs and things like that? Have you played any of those games?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I know you've played one of those games.
Yes, you know, I have. I wonder if we played the same game.
I think the one I'm thinking of, I think that's probably on both our lists. Yeah.
Yes.
You thinking Kingdom Hearts 3?
No.
Oh,
no. Okay.
Although, to be fair, like the cooking, quote unquote, that you do in that game isn't really all that involved. It's just like each meal or each food is just a very simple mini game. You know, it's just the one thing and then you're done.
Yeah.
But, you know, you still have to collect the ingredients, so.
Well, it could be a little stressful at times, especially if you want to get the perfect stars on all those meals, because it's always like you have to crack the egg perfectly or like stir just right. I don't know. Maybe it was how I played it.
The salt and pepper back and forth. You know, he could
easy.
just stand there and hold it, but whatever.
Yeah. No. You have to have a fancy little trick in order to, get those stars. But no, I think I had trouble cracking the egg because you had to use both
Oh, you did? You had to, like, separate... No, was it separating the joysticks apart?
Yes.
Or was it holding L2 and R2? Like, but, like, you had to do it very gently and very carefully, but you couldn't go too slow, though, because the timer is only, like,
but you can't go too fast.
5 seconds.
So you have to go...
But you can't go too fast or you, like, crush the egg.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, no. I got frustrated quite a few times at that part. Cause...
I could imagine. I think my biggest thing, my biggest annoyance that I could remember, I think it was the salt and pepper one. Because you had to time the stupid button, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I would be watching him, like, oh, he's going to catch it now. But, like, the thingy wasn't ready yet, so I would always get it early. But, like, the fruit chopping one was always fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just, like, up and down and up and down.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's all you did. You could do it in, like, 2 seconds and then you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that was just kind of funny because, you can go to the different worlds in the game and just collect the ingredients. Very simple things that clearly grow, and they all look the same, so...
Yeah, right.
Or at least in the world, until they show the little image of what you got, or, like, the word, so... Let's see. There's another game that kind of does provide buffs, per se. Another game that kind of falls in line with Kingdom Hearts. Another game we both have played, which would be Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Oh, gosh, of course. I was like, where's she going with this one? Okay, I should have seen that. I should have seen that coming.
Yes, boosting your energy and whatnot.
I think we both agree that cooking in Dreamlight Valley is leagues better than cooking in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes.
By far. What is your favorite thing about cooking in Dreamlight Valley?
I think it's just because you kind of get to do, like, the whole process and of just, like, you can, plant your seeds, care for them, harvest, and then use those ingredients to make your food. And you can either choose to use one of the recipes you've already found, or you can try to attempt to either make things up or look at people's guides on new recipes to discover.
See, that's my favorite part is that, like, so in every, you can go up to 5 ingredients, right? 1 to 5. You don't even have to do 2. 1 to 5 ingredients. You just, if you have it, you can use it. Doesn't have to be on your belonging. Thank you so much, people who make this game.
Yes.
And you don't have to have the recipe figured out. You don't have to have it unlocked. You can experiment. As long as you got the ingredients, toss whatever you want in there and see what happens. Because sometimes you can have a good 3 or 4 ingredients, change out one ingredient, and it changes the recipe into something different.
Yeah. And
I love that. I hope they add, like, 3 times as many recipes in the game at some point. Because it's awesome. Yeah,
no, definitely. And I think you made a good point, too. It's pretty exciting for a game like this where you don't have to buy the recipes in order to be able to make it, since you can just kind of, like, guess and make it up along the way. Because I think there's definitely some games that come to mind where you can only make the things if you have the recipes, and that's can be a bummer when you're like, I have all the ingredients, why won't you let me make it?
It's great that Dreamlight Valley lets us just do what we want.
Yeah.
Although I know, like, the way to unlock ingredients, a lot of it is like digging them, like, out of the ground, but I don't think I've ever, like, gotten one out of the ground. And it could be maybe I made so many of them, because most of them, like, when you make it, you unlock it. Like, you'll have it from then there on. And maybe I just happen to make so many, like, without doing any digging. Maybe I just, I don't know, made more of them, and I don't know. But I don't think I've ever found a recipe in the ground.
I think only just part of those quests where I've gotten the recipes for a particular reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are the games that we have in common that have cooking. Are there any other ones that you have played that involve cooking in some aspect?
Absolutely. So I love to play, like, cozy life simulator games. In my old age, I found that I gravitate towards them because they help with relaxing, they help with anxiety, or sometimes they just give my anxiety something to do, something to manage. So games like Stardew Valley, and even Harvestella that just came out, they have cooking. Now, neither of the two games are as exciting as cooking in Dreamlight Valley. It's just as simple as like, oh, you have a recipe, you make the food. That's all. You click the recipe, and if you have the stuff, boom, you're done. That's it. And then you can eat it for buffs, or you can sell it for money. And that's about it.
But it's nice and easy and fun.
It is.
And that's good. It can be relaxing. So.
There's Breath of the Wild as well. Zelda Breath of the Wild. It works similarly to Dreamlight Valley, where you can just kind of like throw stuff into the pot and then make food. But you can only use, I think it's just three. I think it's just three ingredients. It's been a long time since I played it. I don't remember. And there's not nearly as many recipes as there are in... There are a bunch, but not as many as Dreamlight Valley, since that's not like a focus point of the game or anything. How about you? Do you have any?
So another one that came to mind, so have you played any like survival type games of any variety, where like cooking is a big component of that? Because one of the games that I thought of, it's been a long time since I played it on the Nintendo DS. It was called Lost in Blue.
I haven't heard that name in forever.
Oh man, I really enjoyed that game. You know, you're a character and you're with another character stranded on an island, and you're trying to survive and discover the island's secrets and whatnot. So, I mean, that game's fun because they have all the different areas where you can either like hunt, you can, you know, scavenge on the shoreline, fish or whatnot. And then they have a little screen where you can kind of just like, can't remember all the specifics, but I think you can kind of like pick and choose like all the various ways you want to cook something or whatnot, and comes up with something like a strange salad or whatnot. So... And then, of course, you know, because it's a survival type game, that food is because, yes, you're going to need enough energy and have enough food in you to survive. So it's another one I played.
Okay. Let's see. This one's from my childhood, way back in the day. I don't know if you've ever heard of Star Ocean before. It's a JRPG series. When the one on the PS2 came out, Till the End of Time... it has this huge crafting system in it. Nothing complicated. Choose your things. Poof, there's whatever it is. And it's cooking, but it's also like alchemy, and it's also like weapon and armor crafting too. Like it's all the same system. It just depends on the things that you put into it. But I remember like when I found out that you can make food too, I scoured the game for ingredients and everything else, because and not because I like they just give you buffs and heal you and stuff, nothing crazy, but the food looked so good.
Ooh.
So good. And I think with at least a lot of the games that I have on my list, the art for the food is just ridiculous. It just makes you want that food so bad. Oh,
that's great. Yeah. I feel like some of the games I haven't played, I haven't been like, ooh, I really want to eat that food, but I can think of like...
I'll have to post some stuff this week then.
Yes,
so you can see it.
I do want to see that, because I'm like, I can think of, you know, we've talked about like Miyazaki's films and stuff, and like that food, I'm always like, I want to eat that, but... So I feel like it speaks to me more in movies, but not in games, but yeah, maybe you'll change my mind. I can't wait to see those.
I'll have to, because I mean, especially in Final Fantasy 15... another game is just, hey, here's some cooking. At the end of each day, you just select a meal. One of your teammates, Ignis, he fixes it. As long as you have the ingredients, he'll make it. Life is good. Now, when the game came out, there's lots of memes that came from it. Because sometimes, you know how like in Kingdom Hearts 3, when you're running around, Donald will be like, this looks like a spot to find some ingredients. You know, yes, Ignis does one of those things too. But, like, you'll be doing something, maybe you'll fight an enemy or something, and he'll, like, snap. And, oh, no, what does he say? It seems I found a new recipe. But he doesn't say recipe, because he has, like, an accent. He says, like, recipe. And that became a meme, like, for forever. Like, I still see it, and I'm just like, wow, this game is old, but okay. Yep. But anyway, they spent they must have spent like a portion of their budget to make these recipes look just absolutely stunning. Because there were some of these foods that I would be like, that looks like in real life that looks gross. In this game, give it to me. I want this now.
That's great.
And the like the variety of meals in the game too is pretty ridiculous. Like you have I mean all sorts of things. All like full meals, snacks, desserts. And then like one of the most basic things you can make at the beginning cuz you don't have anything is like I want to say it's like they call it garlic bread I think, but it's like 2 pieces of bread that was probably like toasted over a fire. Like that's it. That's all it is. But they even make that like look enjoyable. So
oh man. That sounds great.
yeah. I'll have to make some posts every day and try to get some stuff out there.
Yes, definitely share those foods. Yeah. We'll definitely be posting and, because we did hint at a little bit earlier, we made some foods as well. So we'll also be sharing those and their game counterparts, and you can see which one you think is better.
Don't judge me too harshly now.
No. I'm sure they're great. Well, are there any other games that we might have missed that we want to talk about? The food in them?
Nothing too crazy. I covered most of my stuff. Final Fantasy XIV is a big one because that's a whole crafting class. You can be a culinarian. But we don't have the time to talk about all of the recipes in that game because there's probably like 150, 200 recipes.
Wow.
Level 1 through 90, so there's a lot. But there's a cookbook for that though. So, and they make some pretty fantastic things too, but we won't spend any time here on that.
Oh, well, do you have that cookbook?
I don't yet. We've like looked into buying it like probably 10 times. But we never pull the trigger, so I guess we don't need it.
Well, there's plenty of recipes you can find online, I'm sure, from that as well.
Oh yes, there's a whole website.
There we go.
Before like the cookbook came out, a guy went and like tried to recreate or not all of, because that's a lot, but a bunch of the recipes out of the game. But I wonder if he still posts, because they released the cookbook, so I wonder if he's still doing that or not. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, should we talk about what we decided to make?
Oh, yes. Let's see. So I made 2. Did you end up making your full 3?
Yes, I did make 3.
Oh, nice. Okay. And I know that one of those things we shared, we did the same thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Should we talk about that one first then?
Well, yeah, let's do that one first.
Well, we already hinted around about Kingdom Hearts, and just a warning, listeners, if you enjoy Kingdom Hearts, we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts a little bit more in our next episode, of course. It's not a Kingdom Hearts only episode, but we will be talking about that as well. Different components.
Kingdom Hearts is one of our favorite things, so it's going to happen. Yes. Sorry about that.
Yes. Well, so one of the big staples from the Kingdom Hearts series is just that iconic sea salt ice cream.
Sea salt ice cream. Yeah.
Yes.
And do you know what the inspiration was for Nomura to put that in the game?
I do, but you should share that with our listeners who may not know.
Okay, so basically it's not terribly complicated, but they used to serve sea salt ice cream at Disney World, and he tried it, and he's like, I really like this. And then it went into a game. That's about it. I don't think it was the same, like, it wasn't the blue color that we see in the game. I don't think it was anyway. But yeah. Yeah. He liked it and he put it in.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they still serve it, because I think it's at the Tokyo Disney.
Oh, right? Just at the Tokyo one? Let's say. I don't think I saw it when I was at Disney World last. I would have absolutely got some.
Exactly. I'm like, I finally got around to trying it, but I had to make it first, so. So I know for me, this was my first time I made it, and I believe you've made it previously.
This was my second time, yeah.
Okay.
And I can say that I was more successful this time, for sure. Mostly because I think I had to. Last time we actually made it the night before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, so we could have it the next day when we were starting it for the first time. And I had to, like, you make this ice cream with egg whites. Did your recipe call it for whipped egg whites?
Yes.
And I had to whip them by hand.
Mm.
And I think I was standing there with that stupid bowl for like 20, 25 minutes. Like my arm was absolutely dead.
I cannot
But
imagine.
we have like a KitchenAid now. So so
Makes
I
it so
took
much
that
better.
bowl and I put those stupid egg whites right in there and I turned it on high. It was like less than a minute and they were ready and I was like, that is so dumb.
Thank you, technology.
Absolutely. That made it so easy. We did have a really good time making the ice cream this time around as well. So it was a good time.
That's great. So did you use the same recipe that you think you used before, or did you find a different one?
I'm sure I'm sure it was a different one. Some things seemed familiar, but not as familiar. So I'm pretty sure it was a different one. I think it was a better one too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Which one did you end up using?
So we ended up just, researching, just looking around the internet. We ended up just taking bits and pieces of a lot of different recipes
Oh,
because
okay.
some of them, they either like left out a bunch of steps or they seemed not quite as like right. Like after, discussing with Amy, Amy helps me with all these recipes. So
I'm sure she enjoyed that.
yes. Well, she does like to cook, but yes, it was definitely a lot of work trying to research a lot of this stuff. But yeah, so because ours had egg whites and egg yolks. Did yours have both?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
It was like sugar, heavy cream, vanilla, and then of course sea salt. I'm curious, do you know how much sea salt you added in yours?
Um, there was no measurement to it because it was
Okay.
all to taste. However, I just took the thing and I just shook it like a lot,
Okay.
and then we mixed it up. And then taste tested it a little bit. And I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, okay. And I think I kind of nailed it on the first try. And Brandon enjoyed it
That's
too.
amazing.
So I was like, okay, we're just gonna do that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
We're not gonna get too crazy about it. We're just gonna go with that.
Yeah, I think we just took it. We were like, we didn't want to be too risky with it, so we did measure it. So we only did a teaspoon of sea salt. So
Okay.
it's there, but I don't know. So did you enjoy? Actually, hold on. I'm gonna send you a picture.
Yeah.
And then we'll
Okay,
send it
okay.
to our listeners. We'll show everything to you as well. But I want to show you what mine looked like. So I want to see what yours looked like as well to see how close they compare.
Don't judge mine so harshly. I think I
Oh.
took the worst looking popsicle in the bunch.
Oh, ours like started
Um,
melting. It's fine.
Yeah. No, we had that issue last time. The first time we made it, they were just so like bleh. The structure wasn't very strong on it, things like that. The second time around, although this picture is not a good picture, so I will get a better picture for our listeners. But like, if you see like the stick of mine is like way off to the side. It's actually, you can't really tell, but it's actually getting ready to poke out of the front of the popsicle. Like,
Oh.
this one must have had a bad day. Everything else was like perfectly in there, and then there was this one that was like not.
Yeah. Our colors are pretty similar.
Yeah, I wanted mine like because like the custard you use is like yellow, which we had this issue last time. I like you could tell like it was yellow at some point, like just based off of the color. But I didn't want to use more blue food coloring because I didn't want to end up darkening it more. I just wanted it less yellow. So we just went with what we had. But again, I think it turned out better than last time. So.
Yeah.
But yours has a good shape.
Thanks. Yeah. No, yours looks good too. So, since I had never had it before, I didn't know what to really expect with the taste. And I think it had always just hyped
Okay.
it up in my mind of being like, it just always looks so good in the game. I want it. I want to enjoy this. Share it with friends. You know, that's the whole vibe going. But
Yeah.
so, like, for you though, like, you'd already had it once before and then you had it again.
Yeah.
But you said you enjoyed it more this time, it seemed.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I think that it's just probably based off more like the recipe. I think it's more of a special occasion kind of ice cream. Like, I don't think I could eat it all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, if we're doing a Kingdom Hearts themed deal, yeah, for sure. Like do that. But I don't think I could eat it all the time. And I don't think it's because of the salt. I think it's actually because of it's a custard based ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think when I made it this last time and the time before, I think those were like the only two like custard based ice creams I've ever had. I think anyway, unless regular ice cream is custard based and they just hide it really well. I don't know. But you could tell. You could taste it in there, I think.
Yeah. No, because I was curious. I was going to ask if this was something that you would have more often, but you said a more like special occasion type vibe. And I'm like, I get that, because my first couple, like bites or whatever I had of it, I was like, okay, this is something I could have in like a really small bowl, even if I just served it as is, not even on like a stick. It was more vanilla forward at first for me, and then I tasted a little bit of the salt.
Okay.
Then after that, I was like, oh no, I just taste eggs. I don't really like eggs that much. And I'm just like, I really recognize that taste. And I was like, okay, I've already had my fill of this ice cream. Like, I'm glad I experienced it, but it wasn't for me after that. I couldn't finish
yeah.
it.
I got you. I understand that. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, if you don't like eggs that much, I don't think you would have liked my souffle.
I can appreciate that you worked hard on a souffle, and that is very impressive.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it was special. I'll tell you that. Like I told you, I texted you earlier. I was just like, man, I haven't started this yet because, like, I'm reading the recipe. I'm trying to like get used to it, be familiar with it, so I don't have to take forever in making it. Because I know that's a thing when you're baking like this. You need to move. You can't let things sit for forever. And I was so anxious about getting things done with it. I'm like, I want to mess it up, because you can do any of an infinite things to mess up a souffle. But Brandon left to go to his D&D thing, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to flip and do it. And I did, and it was a process. I took some pictures. It was a process, but I got there. And by the time I put them in the oven, I took a deep breath, I cleaned up the kitchen, and then I swear I just squatted down next to the stove and I just watched them for forever. And I just made little mini ones. I didn't make like a big a big souffle. I just made the little bitty ones. And if you're listening, listeners, and you're like, oh yeah, souffles, it was a cheese souffle, something a little more savory. It wasn't a sweet one, but I used cheddar cheese. I used cheddar cheese in it. Which I think was a good decision. I could absolutely taste it. And when it came out, and the recipe says like eat it immediately, like you're not waiting for anything to cool off. You're eating it, and so I did. And it was good. I didn't know what to expect because I had never had a souffle before ever, but it was so fluffy. Chelsea, have you ever had like super fluffy scrambled eggs? I know you don't like eggs a lot.
I
like,
will
have you
eat
ever had like really light, airy scrambled eggs?
Yes.
Okay. That's kind of what it felt like. Kind of. But like mixed with bread also. Like I can't like describe it very well. But when I was eating, like it just tasted like the cheese almost.
Which, eggs and cheese, that's a good mixture though. So
yeah, I mean that's what it is basically. It's eggs and cheese with a little bit of milk, and then I had some like spices and stuff in there too. But it turned out well. I have leftover batter, which I didn't know. Like it made plenty, but I only had 2 little things. So I was like, oh no, what am I gonna do? But then I looked up online. They're like, oh no, you can refrigerate it for like 5 days or something. Oh. The batter, and I was like, okay, cool. So. Perfect. I'll probably end up making a couple more of them because, like, I feel like these are not a dessert souffle, but I feel like they would be okay for breakfast maybe, or as like a side, depending on like what you wanted to have for dinner. Like, I don't think, I'm not going to be all about making souffles from now on.
Are you sure?
No. But yeah, I mean, if you want one, I'll make you one. I'll make you a sweet one next time. Because I'd like to try a sweet one next time. But I based what I chose to make off of the souffle in Dreamlight Valley, because in part of the recipe for that one is cheese. So I was like, oh, we'll make a cheese souffle. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I was pretty successful at it. A little shocked, but pretty successful. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, your pictures look nice too, and we'll definitely have to share that with our listeners as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And I'm really glad it turned out and that you were able to enjoy them. 'Cause I feel like it's always a risk sometimes trying a new recipe could always go one way or another.
Well, like, with the souffle, like, taking them out of the oven is, like, a whole other thing still.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't... apparently, like, you have to make sure there's not any, like, loud noises even. Like, you're stomping on the ground around the oven, which I live on concrete, so that's not really an issue. But, like, if you open the oven door too fast, and all the heat leaves and, like, the colder air rushes in, it could immediately deflate your souffle. So I was like inching it so slowly. I was like, I'm not going to ruin this thing once it's done. I was so scared.
But it worked out. You conquered the souffle.
It did. Yep, for now. This time, anyway.
Yes.
How about you? What was one of the things that you made?
Well, speaking of Dreamlight Valley, I also made a recipe from Dreamlight Valley as well. And we had talked about it before and everything. And it's kind of funny because some of these, like after you make something in Dreamlight Valley, it shows you like, it on a platter, what you make and everything. Sometimes these images look a little weird, look a little unusual. So of course I had to pick one of these unusual things to make and to see if I could succeed in that. And so I chose to do the zucchini puffs. In Dreamlight Valley, you can also make, I think there's chili pepper puffs and eggplant puffs, but zucchini seemed the safer option. I mean, at least for me, because I really do like zucchini. But it's kind of funny because in the game, it has 3 ingredients only with it. So I had to kind of work with that. So with the zucchini puffs, it's in the game, it's zucchini, cheese, and egg. That's all it says.
That's all.
Yep.
Pretty perfect from where I'm standing.
Yes. But this one, no, it's kind of funny because I'm like, okay, well, the game's so new. I mean, it's still, technically in early access and everything, so it's not a game that's been around that people have really experimented with these recipes, or especially some of these, like, kind of different foods, so there's not really going to be a lot out there. Now, I did get inspiration for this from Amy and I sometimes make quesadillas that are zucchini, goat cheese, and pesto quesadillas.
Okay.
Like, those, like, ingredients like that, that's, like, a nice, like, combination of flavors and everything. And then, kind of based off of, like, the pictures in the game for the zucchini puffs, I was like, well, what if we take some of those, like, that similar type of style, but put it into a type of, like, this puff pastry type thing. So, we decided to go with, like, little cube zucchini with some goat cheese and pesto mixed together in a pastry, and kind of rolled it up.
Okay.
And listeners, so I will share those pictures and and you guys can compare those to the ones in the game. And I will show this to you now, Wade, what ours ended up looking like.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
Oh, they look like the ones in the game.
Yes.
You succeeded, but except they're not flat like the ones in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. From that, I know. From the picture in the game,
picture is so bad.
Yeah. No, the picture in the game, yeah, it reminded me, like, they're trying to make it flat, but it also looked like it was an angled. So I was like, well, like using puff pastry, kind of rolling it up, kind of almost looking like an egg roll type shape. And then once that's finished, then you kind of do like a diagonal cut to it. And then you split them in half and layer them on a plate. That's kind of, that's how I envisioned in my mind of how it could work. But
I think you did a good job on that.
Thank you. These were delicious.
Were
Definitely going to make them again. Great combination,
Yes.
great with the pastry. I mean, personally, I think goat cheese mixed with zucchini and a little bit of pesto just is a great combination. But I know it's definitely not for everybody because I know some people can be really hit or miss with goat cheese. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, so that was really exciting to come up with that because it was also, we made up that recipe. And so actually it's really interesting. If you Google zucchini puff, you're not going to get anything that looks like what's in the game. It's going to show kind of almost like these like fried balls of something, or there's going to be ones that are like almost little like tiny little cups of some type of like mixture.
Huh.
Oh, but mentioning, we did use all the ingredients from Dreamlight Valley in there. So the egg we actually used an egg wash on it to give it kind of more golden color on our pastry.
Okay.
So that's what we did instead of
go.
incorporating it in it.
Oh yeah, they look like almost like little quiches or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I'm seeing pop up on Google.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's a little spin,
Okay.
a little fun in Dreamlight Valley, and then I guess I'll move on to my final thing I made.
The special thing.
The special
The
thing.
one I'm excited about, yeah.
Oh, yes. Which is a game we actually haven't covered yet on this episode yet, so.
Oh, you're right, we didn't.
No.
How did
no.
I miss that? Oh my gosh. Oops.
We're going to be talking about sweet rolls from the Elder Scrolls series and from Elder Scrolls Online and everything in between.
So jealous.
So this was really exciting and really intriguing to make. We ended up using the recipe from the Elder Scrolls cookbook. They actually have an official cookbook, and there were pictures online of that page, so we used that. And so just followed it. And what's really interesting is that, I don't know, like, do you have an idea of what you think a sweet roll would taste like? Or know what do you envision it being like?
Well, like, when I just see them, when I'm just in the game and I'm looking at it, I imagine it to be like a sweet white bread with this, this sweet sauce on top of it, basically. But then I can stop them and go, well, I'm sure the bread isn't all that sweet, though. I don't know. Like, how was it?
Yeah. So the recipe is interesting. So like the bread part itself, like its main like the sweetness comes from honey in it.
Okay.
And it's a yeast bread. So what's really interesting is that like it's not like the vibes people might think like, because it's called a sweet roll. You might not think it's more like kind of like not really quite like cinnamon roll based, but more like in that type of variety, not something that's just purely like this is a yeast bread. Like so you could just eat it as like a roll or something and it would be freaking amazing. As just like the base itself. So and to me it tasted so definitely along the lines of a like sweeter bread, but not quite as sweet as a Hawaiian roll.
Okay.
But yes, so
Okay.
it was really good. And then so I was like, well, I had to try it by itself to see what it tastes like first, and then had to try the icing. So because it's an icing and it's a cream cheese based icing.
Oh, okay. I could get down with that.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. I'm like, okay, well, the icing's really good, and then like the roll by itself was good. Together, it was a little different. It was a little strong because it was just like it was such an overpowering like yeast like roll itself, which I'm like, it's still really good. Like it's still really good to have. Like it's delicious bread, but the cream cheese icing on top just seemed a little weird. It just didn't quite fit it quite right for me. Not quite. I mean, in general, just not quite what I imagined, but also it just. I feel like it could have used something different with it. And so I was thinking, like, I know, like, if I use something different, it takes away from it being, like, a sweet roll from Elder Scrolls, but I feel like the roll part itself could honestly just have, like, honey butter on it and be, like, freaking fantastic.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It's so good.
Honey butter is excellent.
And then just on the sweet rolls themselves, it'd be so good. What was interesting too about the recipe, I definitely would be interested in making it again. The recipe claimed it would only make 4, and I don't know if it was either like the recipe was off or the type of like size pan I used, because I used like the smaller ones. I ended up making 5, but it probably could have been 6.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and they were good sized ones. Oh, I realize I need to share that picture with you.
Oh, look at them. They're so cute. They look really good.
Yeah. So it's I would definitely recommend you guys trying out that recipe, and it's pretty simple too. Like you just have to take some time to like let them rise a little bit before they go into the oven, since they have yeast in them. But it's pretty simple ingredients. You just like put them all together at once, blend them up, and put them in the pan.
Boom.
So
Boom, done.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I'd absolutely be down for that. These look good. Maybe we'll have to try them this week.
There you go. Definitely recommend that recipe. So those are the 3 I made, and I think real quickly, so out of the ones that we've made and everything, and like which one did you like more that you made?
Well, out of the ice cream or the souffle, I think I liked the souffle more. Not just because it tasted better, but I'm also a little proud of myself for making a souffle. So
as you should. Yes.
Maybe that helped it taste better because I worked really hard to make it. So I look forward to sharing them with Brandon when he gets home. We'll see how he feels about it.
Well, I hope he really enjoys it too, because you put in that work and they look great. So that's very exciting.
I went through a funny thing while I was making the souffles. Have you ever seen Schitt's Creek before?
Yes, definitely.
You know the joke about folding in the cheese?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had to fold in the, there's like the egg whites that have been beaten, and then there's like everything else, and you have to fold in the egg whites to the everything else. And the whole time I was folding the egg whites in, all I heard was Moira in my head going, "Fold in the cheese," and I'm just like, this is really stupid. But I also learned that I know how to fold stuff in, so all's well. I can help David next time.
Yes, there you go. Much more successful.
Yes.
Yes. I think my favorite I made would probably be the zucchini puffs, because I think altogether the way those ingredients worked out was great. I did also enjoy the sweet rolls too, though. I think those are definitely worth making. And something I would make in the future, or at least just make it without the icing and just put that honey butter on it and call it great.
There you go.
Yeah, glad I made the sea salt ice cream, but it's not something I don't think I'm going to make again.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things where, like, maybe if somebody made it for you, like, professionally, maybe you'd end up loving it. Who knows?
It's very true.
It's got a lot of meaning for us because of Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had it. You can say you've had it, and now you can move on.
Very true. And I think, too, it's like there's not really an official recipe that technically we've found. So, like, we clearly use different recipes and stuff. So maybe if I tried a different one with slightly different, amounts, it could be better or whatnot. So yes, but yes, professional, maybe going, if they still make them at the Tokyo Disney, then that would be cool to have it there.
So we're taking a trip then to find some real sea salt ice cream at Tokyo Disney.
Yep. Take the podcast on the road there when we
can. Oh, yeah.
It'll be quite a ways from now, though, but yes.
Oh, yes.
Wishful thinking on that, for sure. Yes, so any other closing thoughts about our venture into making food, video games?
Next time we decide to make some, or I feel like making something from a video game, I think I'm just going to dive in and do it. I made a souffle. I think I can do anything at this point, so.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit different, talking about cooking as well as video games. Let us know on social media if you have tried any recipes before, or if you tried any of the recipes that we've tried, and let us know how they worked out, or if you have tips on how we can make those better or whatnot. We would love to hear from you guys. We're located on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PodDemastered. And you can also feel free to send us an email anytime. It doesn't even have to be about this topic. If you have ideas for future episodes or things that you want to hear from us or questions you have, feel free to send us a message our way. We'd be happy to hear from you and we will respond. And our email is demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. And, just so you don't miss out on our next episode, just be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And yes, we did hint, maybe we should reveal what our next topic is going to be. We kind of joked around with Kingdom Hearts, of, but it's...
We probably should, yeah. So next episode, Chelsea and I are going to be doing a dive into video game music and our appreciation for those series and songs and stuff that we just hold really deeply in our hearts. So a long time coming on this episode. We're really excited, and we hope that you all can't wait to hear about that as well.
Yes, so we hope you'll tune into that episode, and thanks again for listening to this week's episode. See ya.